Well, hello, Bob Dendry here, and welcome back to Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. So if you read my post, I think it was over the weekend, my graphics card actually died, which was a bit unfortunate. It was a 3090, and that, yeah, was a bit stressful. But I did manage to get a new graphics card during the week, so I've got a nice, shiny new 4090, and I'm keen to jump back in and play some more Transport Fever 2 for you all. So last week, the majority of the work we did was on this sort of section between Santa Rosa and Peoria, quadruplicating Peoria Bank and also getting this lovely new station set up here at Peoria itself, which has hopefully boosted our sort of capacity for handling both goods and passenger networks and cut down on sort of the bottleneck through here, which it certainly seems to be doing. I'm not seeing heaps of trains, backing up here. Obviously, we've got some waiting as you'd expect anyway, but it's looking pretty good so far. Now, before we go on too much further, I do want to make a couple of quick fixes here. As you can see, our Peoria Central truck station has a big lineup of trucks wanting to come in, and we probably want to actually boost the number of trucks we're running here as well. So we need to do something better with making this work. And I think potentially what we could try and do, I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try, is actually add a second entrance here. And I don't think at the moment we actually, and this is sort of our mistake at doing this, we haven't actually separated the two lines that are using it. They're both using the same platform. So what I'm going to do is switch over to platform 1 here. That will partially, or it'll start to get a little bit more, I guess, smoother flowing traffic, especially when we've got trucks coming from Peoria out here. But it's not going to do everything. So what I'm going to try and do is add a second entrance here and see if we can potentially isolate our trucks from Peoria from the ones from our farm. I don't know if that'll work or not, but what I'm thinking we could potentially do is cut this off here, and then we're going to have them coming in from the other side. Now, I'm not heaps keen or not heaps certain that this is going to work the way we think it will. Let's have a look. Okay, so the freight loop is coming from that direction, and hopefully, yes, the grain loop is coming from this direction. So what we should actually do there then is swap these around so they're using the opposite platforms that they are. We might, in fact, even add in a couple of additional platforms as well. At least one on this side anyway. So if we get our freight loop and have that run to platform 1, and then we will get a grain line and have that run onto platform 2 and 3, which I think is a little bit less disruptive. I think that's a little bit better. Might do a bit of smoothing out here as well, because there's a lot of strange hills and grades going on, so I might just do a bit of smoothie. Okay, that's looking, yeah, a little bit better. And yeah, I do want to get another probably 10 vehicles on our line here. So we'll just get those cloned, and that should continue to hopefully increase the throughput here. There is a fix I want to work on for our freight network here. So in terms of our trip trains and the sort of last mile type services running here, I'd noticed that we've got raw materials using those services, which we don't want. Our raw materials have their own freight services that they run on, and it's also causing, obviously, raw materials to traverse the map, which we don't want either. We want our feeder industries to go to their sort of processing industries nearby and not traverse the whole map. I don't think it makes sense for us to be doing that. And we can actually use some of the tools we have available to us to actually clamp down on those raw materials going through, and we can use the this load screen here, and we can turn off loading of any raw materials here, which will limit, I guess, what's going to be flowing through here just to our sort of end products. And luckily, it looks like it's fairly organized as well. We've only got these ones here, and we just need to apply that to each of our stops, and that should fix that up. I'm going to leave unload on because if there's any currently on board, I don't know if it'll impact it not being able to unload that. Cool, so those sort of mainline freight services are no longer going to be transporting raw materials. Second thing I want to do is just go to all of our sort of distribution trains, the short ones running between our main hubs, and do the same there as well. All right, and a lot of clicking later, and
probably a bit of RSI.
We have managed to turn off our raw materials being used on these services, so that is good. Yay! Another thing I want to do, which I did talk about, was getting our freight flowing through to Dayton off our rails and put them via the road as well. Obviously, it's a very short trip, and we find that a lot of our trains, which are running out of our Dayton freight hub, are filling up with materials to be dropped straight away at the freight station. So we will be making that change, removing Dayton from the line, and we're going to start doing that right now. We got a truck station right here, fairly close. And basically what we're going to do, we're going to take our freight loop service, and rather than it loading over here at Dayton Halt, it's actually going to load over here at Lower Dayton. If we look at our coverage, yeah, we don't need Lower Dayton Halt here at all, so I'm going to actually completely remove this. Why? Oh yes, because it still exists. Fair enough. We will remove Dayton Halts, and that is good. Got no warnings. We're all good there. And then we will take the, I believe it's the Oklahoma to Dayton freight line, and we're going to remove the stops at Dayton. Beautiful. So that should free up a little bit of capacity. It does give us a little bit of room back to do some building as well. I might just extend this road through here. And that gives us a few more places that we can be building, which is good. And we can see as well that all our food has actually already transferred across, but we need to get some large cargo buildings in here, I think, because we are not fitting everything in. What about now? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so there we go. That little bit of mischief is managed there. But now it's on to the meat and veg of this episode. So, basically, we have our town over here at El Paso, which is the only town on sort of this side of the river here that doesn't have any service, and they have been absolutely lobbying their, local politicians to try and get something done, try and get some service. And as a result of that, we've ended up with a bit of a grant and a bit of a contract to build a new line that encompasses El Paso. So what we're going to be building, we're going to be building a brand new line which terminates at Dayton and will flow through to El Paso, Salem, Fullerton, and then joining up to our existing Laredo branch to actually convert that into a full-length line. A couple of points of interest here. Obviously, Laredo will need to be duplicated. We may need to reconfigure some of the services running through or flowing through it. Obviously, we've got a problem with this being a terminating platform, but we can certainly potentially realign that to go through this nice sort of empty bit here that doesn't have any buildings on it. And Salem is going to be an interesting case because we are not going to join up to our existing station. It's actually going to be a brand new station, and we're not going to get rid of this one either. So it is going to be two passenger stations in the town, and we're obviously going to need to set up some service running between them. But overall, I think this is a fairly easy one for us to build. So before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and sort of site where our stations are going to go, get those built, and then we'll go about making the connections. El Paso is quite spread out. We might even need to sort of pull out or remove some buildings to get a nice layout going. So we're going to go ahead and start to get some stuff built. Oh, in fact, he's already decided that he wants to build there. That's good. I'm happy with that. And then we should see some more connections starting to build out here as well. In terms of our station, it is going to be a double track. It is going to be 240 meters long. And we will get it in over here. In fact, we're probably best off just building everything as a 320 meter long standard at this point in time, aren't we? We'll get that one in. Over at Salem, we've got a nice sort of area here that isn't actually close to our residential at all, so it's going to require I guess, public transport connection, which can pretty much just shuttle between our two stations. I'm happy with that. And I'm going to place this here, and we'll need to obviously connect this up to our roads. No issues with doing that. Now it becomes a little bit tricky, not really, but a sort of a bit complicated. I think what we'll do is reroute our freight tracks to run through this station as well. It makes sense to do that. And we'll probably head off in a sort of almost a 90 here. Obviously curve 90. We'll stop at Fullerton. Fullerton's actually quite nice layout. I don't mind it. And we can get that connection fairly easily just on the end here. And from there, we're onto Laredo. So Laredo, we probably will move the platform over to sort of run through here because we've got a nice straight connection we can make without going sort of too far around the town. And what we're going to do to make that happen, I'm going to quickly pause. I'm going to delete this existing set of platforms. We'll get a new one down, and this is a long one, so we might actually have trouble fitting this in. No, I think it should be okay, actually. What have we locked onto there? Yeah, that might be a bit low. Let's see if we can punch through. We can, but it's not the most good-looking connection we can make. Let's try again. What we could actually do is place our tracks through. I don't know why we're making weird sloping decisions. We should just keep it flat. If we flatten the ground a little bit, it might flow a little bit better. Yeah, it's okay. Could be better, could be worse. But at least we got a connection. A little tiny stub in here, and we should be able to lock on our station to that. Yeah, perfect. It's not the best connection. In fact, are they even connected? They are, but it looks like it's quite a bend. We might see if we can relay that. Okay, it did make the connection. We can connect both up. Fantastic. And how are we going to make this work? Because we need to go up a fair way, don't we? Get rid of some roads. Going to upset the local authorities here. That's okay. They can deal with it. What's our problem? Oh, yes. Okay. Yep. Laredo Freight Loop. Can't connect all stations. Why is that? Oh, actually, it's because, yes, fair enough. That makes sense. And that's fixed. We don't even need this one. Just making it better. Okay, perfect. So we can start running that again. We don't have any connection to the road here, actually, so we do need to fix that. Unfortunately, we needed to remove a building, but it's okay. Not much we can do about that. Okay, so from here, we can continue punching through our double track. We might potentially, just thinking, we could push this platform back a little bit and maybe rotate it so it's a better connection. I think that was only, no, that was 320 meters. We can sort of sneak this around the corner here, which is like pushed straight into a hill. Cool. From there we can start to build up our bridge. I wish you could get arches that were the same distance apart, because it's a bit silly that they aren't. But look, it is what it is, I guess. Let's see if we can connect this up. I'm not confident we can, because it's probably a bit of a height difference, isn't it? Oh no, we actually can. Cool. And that fixes that. We can unpause once again. And we can just keep going through. We're probably tunneled through this. I don't think we're going to go all the way around. A fairly short tunnel section anyway. And then, yeah, it should be a fairly easy connection. All right. And we have our first section of track built. I'm just going to pull out this old line that we formerly used for our freight. And we are going to need to finish off this bit as well. We'll pull this back and connect it up. And we'll put a little cross over here. All right, so this part of the line's operational, that's fine. We can just leave it to do its thing and move on to the rest of the cool stuff we'll be building. So I mentioned that our freight line that is running our iron ore, we will shift to run through Salem. So we're going to make that change now. I'm actually going to just build a short sort of stub of how our line's going to work. And yes, we could continue to run this as a separate line. It doesn't save too much money sort of joining it in here, but it will probably make it a little bit easier and neater when we come around to jumping over the river here. I'm going to pause and disconnect this line. And we're going to start to cross over. All right, and that is a fairly nice connection we can make there. We're still maintaining 120, which is good. And here's where we need to split off our iron ore line, which we can do here. All right, we can get that flowing again. And we can finish off our connection to El Paso. Beautiful connection there. And the last bit's fairly simple. This is the only bit where it starts to get a little complicated, and that is working out where our lines are actually going to converge. And I think there is pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Cool, so we've got a fair bit of signaling to do, but once we've done that, we are pretty much good to go. All right, the connection's made. So our new line is good to set up with stations. We'll probably get some new rolling stock running on it as well. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this has sort of come through and how it's been designed. So we're going to take our existing Laredo branch line and just extend that all the way through to Dayton and then return. And over at Dayton, what platform are we using? We are using a separate one to our other line, which is good. What are we going to call it though? Because it's not the Laredo branch anymore. It's completely different. We're just going to call it the inner line because it goes across the inner or the inside of our map. Why not? Let's do it. We're going to need to upgrade our rolling stock as well, as I said. Our old steam train that's been running on this route is not going to cut it. It's a bit old. It's probably a bit slow now as well. So let's have a look and see what options we've got to, I guess, make this a little bit better and a bit cooler. Probably 460s are probably the order of the day here, I think. Obviously, they're quite old by this point, but your 10-wheelers probably aren't quite as good. So we'll go with 460s. We'll get some new cars on here. And we will we'll modify that, and then we'll also get it duplicated as well. Beautiful. So yeah, we've got our brand new passenger line here. And exciting is that we're also going to be able to get goods flowing to all of these towns as well. Okay, now it's time to get freight and a bit of public transport organised for our cities on our new line. So we'll start over here at El Paso, and obviously it's a little bit far away from the residential, so we definitely do need to work on getting some public transport happening here. But we can make a few quick connections here, which might remove a few buildings, but will encourage growth in the town. Okay. It already started making some of those growth decisions itself, which is good. We're going to get some cargo platforms in, or probably just the one along this line, but we can put in a second one should we need to down the line a little bit. Alrighty, we'll get our truck station set up over here. We might actually get it set up on the other side, potentially. I'll build a little bit of a stub there. I don't expect growth in this direction, but just in case there is, we've got it set up there. Go. Our truck unload stop looks like we only need the one. And for our passengers, looks like we probably just need the 2 stops. I might place this up there as well, actually. Next up is Salem. So Salem, we do need to do a little bit of work to because our station doesn't yet connect to the town itself. That's an easy fix getting that connection in there. Try and squeeze out truck station in here if we can. Perfect. Alrighty, now we need to make our connection between our two stations. Should be a fairly simple one. We'll also get a, let's have a look. We're pretty much all covered there, but we'll add in a truck unload stop up here just to cover off anything that we might be missing. And then for our bus stop, can't actually get one in here, we're too close. Get one over there. Probably one in the middle of town. And the final stop right out front of our other platform. Moving on to Fullerton. This should be a fairly easy connection already. Now for our freight, we might pop our truck station on the other side over here. Unload stop, we can definitely go with just the one, that is good. Now in terms of our passenger, we cover pretty much all the residential, to be honest, already. But we might put in a couple of extra stops just to allow people, I guess, to get around to the industrial to get to work, things like that. And finally, we're at Laredo. So Laredo already has its own little freight network set up, so we don't need to tinker with that at all. But I will get some bus services running. Carriage services, really, at this point in time, aren't they? And as you can see, we're going to actually have two different lines running in Laredo. Alrighty, so we're all set up. We just need to get a our sort of freight train running on this section of track, and I think probably running from Laredo through to Dayton is going to be the quickest and easiest way for us to make that work. So what we might do, we might let's have a look. Grab this train here. We're going to quickly clone it and create a new line using it. Cool, so that should now start working for us. And we've actually got a fair amount of demand for people wanting to travel on this line as well. Decent, actually that's really decent. So I'm happy with that demand, especially since we've pretty much just put all this stuff in anyway. Well, things are starting to look really good on our new inner passenger line. So what better time than now to hop over to Dayton, jump on the train itself, and go on a bit of a ride along through to El Paso and then on to Salem. Hope you enjoy. And here we are arriving at Salem. So as you can see from the number of passengers on board, this is proving to be quite a popular line, which is really good considering, you know, we've only fairly recently put it into service. So this train may fill up, it probably won't. But if it did, that would be really cool, and obviously tells us we need to add a little bit more capacity onto the line. Well, I hope you enjoyed that ride along, but that is about all we have time for in this episode. So I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device the next time I post a video. You'll find links to all my social media in the description, so please jump on there, like, follow, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. And a big shout out to my Founders Club patron, Caleb. Caleb, thank you so much for helping to make this happen. But until next time, I'm Bob Dendry. This is Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.